In 2010, international racing really came to the forefront right here on TVG, America's Horse Racing Network, courtesy of guys like Todd Trupp and Simon Bray, logging more than 52,000 air miles, going to pretty much every corner of the world to bring us the outstanding racing. In the next coming years, we'll have more of an international presence, especially World Thoroughbred Championship days, as the committee will be paying for the fees to bring all those great horses over to see them on our biggest days. But until then, you have to rely on us here at TVG and, of course, our jet setters in Todd Trupp and Simon Bray, and, of course, Rich Perloff having a chance to take care of Japan racing on weekends as well. And, guys, let's talk about the impact of international racing on our product here in North America.
Well, it really has made the betting public more aware here on, like you said, the Breeders' Cup World Thoroughbred Championships. We're familiar with the company lines, so we don't have to just take the word from the European media that this is the next greatest horse of the last 20 years. We can actually see for ourselves and to determine how good they are. So the racing world, in a sense, is getting smaller.
Yeah, you know, and those races look a lot different to the American eye, but, you know, I think we can't overstate the importance of Goldacova in this regard, because after Goldacova reeled off back-to-back Breeders' Cup mile wins stateside, trainer Freddie Head immediately said, we're coming back for number 3 next year, and we got to watch that entire campaign and really assess, was she as good, maybe better, had she lost a step? Very interesting to watch her progression to Breeders' Cup mile number 3.
Yeah, and it all started back at Royal Ascot, where I had the pleasure of going in the Queen Anne Stakes. We saw Goldacova there, one of the best Royal Ascot meets I've been part of, Camford Cliffs as well. So to keep the royal theme going, Todd and myself had plenty of trips to Canada as well. And you remember our first trip to the Queen's Plate.
The Queen keeps following us around,
yeah,
too,
exactly.
for some
I know,
reason.
it's tough.
Yeah. But I think, you know, sometimes we just, you know, we kind of think of Canada as just kind of melding into U.S. racing. Yeah, a lot of horses come here, but when you look at what was going on up in Canada this year, it did have a great impact on what was going on in the States.
Yeah, there's no question. The Queen's Plate winner, Big Red Mike, and then, of course, the Canadian International winner, Joshua Tree, brings the whole theme of international racing to the forefront. He's based in Ireland. He won in Canada, and then we saw him in the Japan Cup in Tokyo 4 weeks later. So you could have followed his story all the way through on TVG.
And I saw something in the Japan Cup I thought I'd never see, a horse disqualified from the win. A lot of people are still talking about it. I'm personally in the minority, but I believe they made the right call in disqualifying Buena Vista. I mean, it's a hard call.
The horse that they passed was not going to win that race.
Yeah, but there were a couple of fouls down the stretch. It wasn't the best of rides aboard Buena Vista, and I think that ultimately made the difference. But now that time has passed, having witnessed it in person and most people saying it wasn't a great call on site, I still think the stewards made the right call there with Buena Vista. It was history either way.
Yeah, it was. Rose Kingdom got put up, and thankfully for the owners, it was the same ownership group, so they won no matter what. They got first and second place prize money. And then just a week later, we went west to Osaka to cover the Japan Cup Dirt as well, and that was an impressive performance by Transcend there, who won that race very, very easily. No foreign horses this year, but
that's the biggest disappointment. You know, we talked about the betting public over here becoming more aware of what's going on around the world and the opportunities out there. I hope that American horsemen and women become more aware of the bonus programs, the money that is offered all around the world, particularly in Japan. You can bring over a dirt horse and compete there for some big money if you win some big money here in the States.
No question. And Rich, you probably saw, you covered Japanese racing. What about Snow Ferry, the English and Irish Oaks winner, winning the Queen Elizabeth? She's been dubbed the Queen of the Orient now with a victory in Hong Kong at the back end of the year as well.
Yeah, that was extremely impressive. You know, all the more so because in the States, I think that the commutes are a little bit less taxing. Over there, they're flying across continents, and these trainers seem very bold about taking their top horses where the important big money races are, and Snow Ferry proved she can ship. She can handle top-quality competition. That was a big run.
But, guys, the big question may come from folks here in North America, and in your opinion, here's the question. Do you believe that our horses are somewhat bridging that gap between what we have here in North America and the international talent, not just the turf talent in Europe, but all the international talent that we've been seeing the last year?
You know, to borrow a hip-hop phrase, don't believe the hype. I am so tired of hearing every year in Europe the best horse in the world resides there. It was See the Stars the previous year. Then it was Harbinger this year before he was retired. Seems like every year the best horse resides over in Europe, according to media accounts and even horse players there. I was asking a longtime horse player, was there ever a year that you thought America had the best horse in the world? And he goes, Cigar, 96, maybe. Maybe. He added the qualifying maybe.
And they thought that Halling was going to beat him in the Breeders' Cup class.
Exactly.
And I can remember when Brough Scott was saying Dancing Brave may be the best horse we've ever seen, and he got beat in the Breeders' Cup. I don't know that America needs to narrow the gap. Yes, there are years where the best horses are overseas. I just think it's the nature of the game. It's cyclical. I don't think America's got to make any apologies or narrow a gap with Europe.
No, look at the success they've had in the Dubai World Cup, for example, the American horses, and that's to prove a point. I mean, especially horses based in Los Angeles, flying 17 hours. They've had success there on their preferred surface. Yes, of course, dirt, now it's synthetic. But, yeah, I think the world, as you pointed out at the top of this segment here, has become a much, much smaller place globally as far as horse racing goes.
And a lot of it's apples and oranges, you know, because the style of racing, the conditions of racing are so completely different. We just don't know. We don't know whether they will handle it coming over here. We don't know whether our horses would handle it particularly over there.
Hey, Wesley Ward won a Group 1 at Royal Ascot. Take that with the top.
Who would have thought that? And they often say a little information can be extremely dangerous, can be a very bad thing. I'm thinking about the fact that the first couple of years Goldakova came over here to run in the Breeders' Cup, I didn't even think about trying to beat her. I just assumed that she was better. But this year, I had a chance to watch her prep races on TVG,
like Chris was talking,
and I thought I could beat her. I really thought I could beat her in the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile. And no shot.
And those prep races were no different, really, from the ones that the previous 2 years.
But watching it, once you have the ability to watch, formulate your own opinion, you've got your own notes right here, all of a sudden I decide, I know more than everybody else. I can watch those races on TVG and I can see what's happening. She's going to get beat.
You know, we also talk in the context that we have these performances, but what does it mean for the industry overall? I always refer to TVG, and most of us do, as America's horse racing network. But if you look at our schedule now, it really is becoming a global horse racing network. There's Australian racing we offer on here as well. So Australia, Japan, most of Europe. I mean, it's all here.
I always say TVG, taking over the world one race at a time.
Well said.
We're coming to get you, world. Come on in. It's all love, whether it's North American domestic racing or international racing. It's all here for you at TVG and TVG.com. And in 2011, we'll continue to span the globe to bring you the best thoroughbred action there is out there.